Well, hello all. Alright, here in California, it's raining, cold, wintry. And it all started when spring got here. So now we've gone into winter. So we'll do the video inside. Today, we're going to talk about the amazing amount of garbage that people throw away per person around the world, and per country, and what it's doing to our oceans. Let's go have a look. What a waste. How much garbage per person is thrown away every year, according to 2014? Well, in 2014 it was about 3 pounds per person, or 1.4 kilograms, every day in 2014. In 2020, the average was 4.4 pounds, or 1.99 kilograms. In the U.S., 5.91 pounds per day per person. Solid waste per year is 53.38 pounds, or 24.2 kilograms per person in the UK. Now let's break that down even more. How much of that waste is plastic? Well, plastic waste is 30.25 pounds, or 13.72 kilograms of plastic thrown away per person per year. Plastic waste equals 380 million tons per year. At least 8 million tons of plastic ends up in the oceans every year. That is about 10% of total plastic waste ends up in the ocean. The countries polluting the most: China at 8.8 tons of plastic per year. Indonesia 3.2 tons. Philippines 1.8 tons. Vietnam 1.8 tons. And Sri Lanka 1.6 tons of plastic waste per year. However, you can't blame the Asian countries, because let's take the UK for example. The UK is transferring all of their plastic waste over to the Asian countries. Then the Asian countries, the poor people, go through it and look for something that they can sell or make money on. And the rest of it, where does it go? In the ocean. Or is burned as piles of plastic burning waste throughout the shoreline. Then the ash ends up in the water anyway. All the toxics that are in plastic are being released into the ocean. So, what can we do about this? Can we just throw our plastic in recycling and think that it's gone, that it's completely recycled? Which it isn't. Plastic is pretty much non-recyclable, other than a few things that you can make out of recycled plastic. But all in all, it's just a waste product. The idea of using things that aren't made of plastic is the best. But right now, with this COVID-19 virus spreading all over the world, people are using plastic more and more. Reusable bags are being, at the stores, reusable bags aren't being accepted anymore. You have to use paper bags or plastic bags. And then just a one-use kind of item because of the coronavirus. Now, there's not much we can do about that. We have to eat. The other day we went shopping and they wouldn't let us use any recycled or reused bags. That's really sucked. So what can you do about that? Well, I guess you can go shopping. You can cut your shopping trips in half. That might help with the pollution out of the vehicle, but you're still going to use plastic to get it home and store it in. Unfortunate. We need an alternative to plastic. Now, let's go back over to the board and look at something else. What in the heck are we doing with our fisheries throughout the ocean? So where are fish caught in the ocean? You know, there's deep parts of the ocean and shallow parts. Where do we catch most of the food that we eat? Let's go over to the board and take a look. Well, I shouldn't say we eat. Some people eat ocean fish still. So the estimates are that about 55% of oceans are affected by fishing vessels. That fishing effect is about 200 million square kilometers. In other words, it's just not all at the top that the fish are caught. They're caught here and here at the bottom. But most of the food that we eat is caught sort of in the upper part of the ocean. Nowadays, since this is becoming denuded of fish, the trawlers are dragging lines that are scraping the bottom of the ocean and denuding any life at the bottom at all, where these huge nets drag along the bottom, bringing up everything, whether it's edible or not. Then what's called bycatch is thrown overboard into the ocean, which is about anywhere from 30% to 60% is bycatch. The worst things you could eat is shrimp and any kind of shellfish other than clams, such as any kind of crustacean. You just don't want to eat those because they're limited. They have a very important role to play in the ocean of recycling, and if you eat all the cleaner fish, especially on the bottom, since that's where all the trash ends up, is on the bottom, and your bottom feeding fish, which live a very long time, 90 to 110 years in lifespan, and we go catch them in a net and eat them, and it took 110 years for them to produce, whereas the fish up here produce much faster and quicker and don't have all the toxicity that the bottom feeders have. Now, there are fish in the middle of the ocean, but they're not too often fished because they're too sparse compared to bottom fish, which are pretty thick, and top fish, which are very thick. Now, where does plastic go in the ocean? Plastic is from the top of the ocean all the way into the sediments at the bottom of the ocean. The entire ocean is filled with plastic. A lot of it floats, but then it begins to sink as it drinks in all the poison that is in the water. The plastic absorbs that and keeps it into the plastic. Then when a fish eats it, that toxicity is now in the fish, and then we eat the fish and the toxicity is into us. Stop eating fish out of the ocean. If you're still eating fish, you must not really care about the environment, because the fishing industry and the plastic industry are absolutely decimating our oceans. And then the people eating the fish out of the oceans isn't helping any, because you're bringing all the pollution that's in those fish back to land, and then it ends up being spread out on the land because the waste product of humans and other animals are spread on the land to fertilize it. But if you're spreading stuff that comes out of humans that's full of pollution from eating fish and other meat, you're just polluting your land and your oceans at the same time. By the practice of eating meat or fish. So there it is. Please stop eating meat, especially fish out of the ocean. Now, lake fish are often grown in hatcheries and then put back in the lakes. So the lakes tend to have more fish available for fishing people who like to do it as a hobby. I never did get into killing animals as a hobby, but a lot of people do, unfortunately. So with that, we'll call this an end to the video for today on a drizzly, cool spring day here in California. So I appreciate all the ups, downs, and new subscribers, but more than anything, I like the comment, and I read every comment. I may not be able to answer every comment because of YouTube. It's broken right now on their comment section, to where if I comment, I can't see any of the comments. So that problem is back again. The filter seems to be back on that they took off. Isn't that so typical? I appreciate it. So until next time.